to the beat down. That's right. It is the Logan Summit Show. I am your fearless host, Logan Summit. They try to bother me, cancel me, but they cannot do that. Why? Because I refuse to wear a Band-Aid on my nose. But today we're going to get slap happy and MMA proud because we have a legend, and I hope you're not lactose intolerant. It involves dairy. In the house today, it is John the Machine Davis.
Woo, hell yeah.
Hell yeah, right? I mean, it's not as good as Matt. It's not as good as Justin, and it's sure as hell not as good as Bruce. But I do commentary. I do USA Boxing and MMA commentary, so I'm not in the ring very often. But, John, how are you feeling today, my friend?
Hey, I'm feeling great. Again, I appreciate you reaching out, and that intro was fire, man.
Hey, I'm glad you like it, man. We'll give some bells for that. We give bells around here when we want to support. It's better than clapping or snapping. So when you hear me do this, that means you've said something good. Now, dude, you used to be a power lifter back in the day when you were a teenager with just a little bit of gold and a pager. How did you get into power lifting?
It would have been not very long after high school. You know, high school sports, obviously you want to be as strong as you possibly can. And then always tried to stay active after I graduated. And then one day this guy was like, yeah, hey, I'm going to this powerlifting gym. You want to come? And from there on out, man, it was grinding for quite some, I was putting more time into that during that time period because I was a single guy. So I was spending probably about 5 hours a day in the gym. And then 8 hours a day at work. So that's pretty much, thank you. That's pretty much all that I was doing at that point in time.
Well, here's the thing, though. You go from freaking power lifter to MMA to power slap. I would feel like powerlifting would be detrimental to a combat sports career.
That's why I don't really do it as much anymore. I definitely stay active in the gym, and I have to remind myself that I'm not out here trying to see how much weight I can bang. Yeah, right. I have to remind myself I need to be functional for what I'm doing. So maybe when I'm older, I'm not getting tested anymore, then I can get back into powerlifting.
That's good stuff, man. All right, John. Look, you have not been in Power Slap for quite a little while, but you are still the number 2 middleweight with a 6-2-0 record. You're 30 years old. You've got 2 KOs to your name. Now, coming up, you're going to be getting back into the MMA cage. You will be fighting on August 23rd against Montana Roberts, and it will be part of AFP 101. The question to you is, what is your future, MMA or Power Slap?
All of it. I'm doing all of it. Power Slap, I'm still involved. I'm still under contract. I've been trying to get back up there. I know they're expanding right now, so I feel like that's probably part of the reason why I've been kind of off to the side. So it is what it is, and that would be why I'm stepping back into MMA and finally making my debut there. When it comes to combat sports, I want to do all of it. I have until I'm 40 to compete in combat sports. I've kind of set that timer on myself because, if I hit 40 and I still feel great and I can still do something and go out and make a huge bag while I'm doing it, great. But if not, then, finding something else to do after that is kind of the goal. But for now, the focus is as many things in the combat sports world as I can, whether it's dirty boxing, karate combat, shout out to the MFL, anything along those lines. I want to get into it while I can.
All right. Well, here's the question for you, John. You said anything. Would you be willing to do jiu-jitsu in a car?
Very, very likely. I would probably not say no.
All right. What about a boxing match in a British phone booth?
Ooh, I've seen that. Bare knuckle or not, I'm going to say yes.
All right. All right. And the last one I got. I got 2 more for you. Second to last, pillow fighting. You down with that?
I've seen that with that nifty pillow that they have built.
It's pretty nifty, right?
Yeah, that's a special little design. I would have to try it.
You know what? Try it once. Everything, try it once except for drugs, kids. Don't do drugs. Go to gyms, all right?
Yep.
Gyms keep you off the streets and gyms keep you off of drugs. Kids, don't do drugs, okay? Just saying. Unless you're the Diaz brothers, then do what you need to.
Yeah.
All right. I love you guys. You know that. If this shows up on your feed, I'm sorry about that. You know, I ain't getting down. I don't want to get choked down in the middle of New Orleans. It wasn't even Jake Paul or Logan Paul. It was the fake Logan Paul. It was Rodney. He choked Rodney out in the middle of New Orleans, for the love of God. All right, I'm off topic right now. Dude, you got to help me through some of these power slap these things. So hand width, 22 centimeters. Now we know what centimeters are and we know what hand width is, but why did we go to centimeters? I'm just wondering why we go from traditional, the way we do stuff here in the U.S. We call it standard, but it's not standard because we're only one of 3 countries that still uses it. But why do you think they go back to centimeters in the metric system so quickly?
I couldn't tell you because I remember them saying, I think they wrote it down for inches and centimeters. And the only thing that I could think was because of it being such a globally watched sport right now that maybe
It is
better for the fans. Other than that, I have no idea.
All right. Now, do you know what human force is? Because your human force is 37,111 FRs. Don't know what FRs stand for. I think it stands for you won, but I don't know. What is human force?
From my understanding, it's the amount of force that you can inflict on the cube, I think it was, that we hit. So that cube that has a rating, that's because whether you're kicking, punching, headbutting, elbowing, no matter what, that's I think the terminology that they use for that rating.
All right, that's good because I had no idea what that was. By the way, do you know what your peak velocity is? How fast you can get around to a slap?
I think it was like 10 miles an hour or something.
It is. It's 10 miles an hour. Do you know what else you could do? 10 miles. Think about all the things you could do instead of slapping people with 10 miles an hour. You could be a milkman. You could probably be a post person. You can do all of that stuff. But instead, you've decided to slap people across the face, neck, chest, and breast area. Question being, how the do you get into power slap?
Dumb luck. A lot of people got reached out to about this. I stumbled across it. Again, this was, how many years ago now? I'm over 3 years almost.
You were there at Power Slap 1. You were actually there before Power Slap 1. Some of the prelim Power Slaps, if you will. I mean, it goes all the way back to January 23 against Jaworski Besley. You got that decision. And that was just a straight up Power Slap. I'm sure it wasn't a big promotion at that point.
It wasn't even a promotion yet. That was the test run to see if we were going to even be able to do the show. We were figuring out the rule set. I was a heavyweight at that point in time. I ate an extra large cheese pizza that day to go up against that guy. So it was a whole different world at that point in time. But yeah, I've been part of Power Slap since, the very, very beginning. Again, I stumbled into it. I was looking to get into amateur MMA. And in all the forums that I was a part of, one day, slapping for money popped up. I'm pretty sure this is some bull. Exactly. I like dollars and belts, dude. Dollars and belts.
Yeah, sorry. Comedy happens in threes, so I got to keep it there. John, dude, but I've heard from some of the fighters that literally they were just walking down the street in the bar district in some podunk town. And somebody was like, hey, you want to slap people for money? Is that a reality? Is that how Power Slap got started?
For some people, yeah. There's definitely folks who had been reached out, they were reached out to through any sort of combat sports that they had already done. Me, again, I stumbled across it in those forums, and then the next thing you know, I'm sitting literally right in this general area. I have a 60-page contract, and they're telling me that this is Power Slap that's going to be under Dana White, and it's going to be the next big thing. So
yeah, did you have a lawyer look that contract over?
No.
See, all right. The one thing you never want to hear in any business proposal ever, it doesn't matter if it's fighting or not. The one thing you don't want to hear is, so why didn't you have a lawyer look over that contract? Just saying, man. Um, we'll get into that a little bit later because I do look. Vern the mechanic is one of my friends, very close to the machine. By the way, how did you get that nickname, the machine?
Actually, with the people that I used to power lift with, we were doing whatever exercise. I think it was bench press that day. And normally, as you go, your rep number drops. Well, mine was doing the opposite. I was actually putting up the same amount of weight more times after every intensity I bring when I'm pushing myself. That's how I ended up with the nickname the machine.
Well, it's a good nickname and it serves you well. You've been training in MMA for about 4 years now, since 2021. How do you start training for Power Slap?
I guessed it was a big guess. It was a lot of trial by fire, finding finding workouts that correlate with the movements that we were doing was the biggest thing that I could tell people.
Now, Vern, as a coach, has told me there are very specific ways to put your feet, ways to move your hips, all of that stuff that comes into play with actual combat sports as well. But it's just a little bit different. When you thought to yourself, hey, I'm going to go up here and slap a dude in the face, what was your first thought about how you were going to train that? Like, do you go full Rocky and go into a meat house and just start slapping beef? What do you do?
A lot of it, I have a heavy bag that I'm looking at right on the other side of this table. A lot of it was just spent hitting that heavy bag, figuring out, it's very easy in this sport to hurt yourself throwing a strike like that. So figuring out how to train for it and not hurt myself was the biggest thing because ain't nobody trying to walk around with tennis elbow all day, and that's the first thing you're going to end up getting.
Really, I figured the first thing you would end up getting is a popped eardrum.
I mean, it depends on who you are. If you're accurate, that won't happen to you. If your opponent's accurate, that won't happen to you. But for some of these sloppy ass people who don't pay attention to what they're doing.
How hard is it to not flinch? Because that requires a setup. If they feel like you flinched, you get a setup. Two for flinching, basically, at that point.
Yep.
How hard is that? How do you train yourself? Do you close your eyes and just take it at some point?
I did have that happen a couple times. I have let my wife and kids go for a round on me just to make sure that I was going to be all right. But it's by far the hardest thing because no matter how much you practice for it, your body still wants to move. Like you really have to be so mentally sound and in that moment knowing that you can't move and you have to be able to take that hit and still be there afterwards.
Well, think about this, John. How many years of evolution have made us get out the way, get out the way, get out the way? Like,
Oh yeah.
you don't just stand there and take the shot. Your initial thought process has to be, oh, I don't want to do that. And that's the craziest part about Power Slap. I find it to be a little bit aggressive. I mean, you just got to stand there and take it. And I hate to say this, but it does come down to that coin toss.
Yeah, the coin toss definitely does play a factor. Even if you don't get the knockout when you win the coin toss, if you get to go first, you obviously get to rattle your opponent. So you very much so have a good chance. Even if you go all 3 rounds, you very much so have a good chance at, rattling them and making it to where they make a mistake or they're not bringing the full power that they're capable of.
John, do you think there's a better way they could go about who strikes first, or is a coin toss the best way to do it?
I feel like a live coin toss would be a hell of a lot better than the coin toss that we have now.
I agree.
They actually
I
did that in the
agree.
very beginning.
They did that in the
Yeah,
very beginning. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, yes. So it would have been during season 1. We were on stage. They do the coin toss. You see it. There was no question of ifs, ands, or buts about it. And then it was good content because now you're looking at each other like, oh shit, now we both just find out that fate decided who's going first.
Yeah, and I feel like Vegas would love that too because we could actually bet on it if they did it in front of us, right?
Yeah, yeah, I know they have betting odds for it already,
But
but
I don't want to bet on something I can't see, right?
exactly, exactly.
And we know Dana is in charge of a lot of stuff, and the way that they've been able to bring create $1 billion company around something that was dead in the water years ago, and now remember now WWE, UFC, Tough Enough, all of this great stuff, Power Slap. UFC Fight Pass, it's all one entity. Do you think that's good or bad for the sport?
Nitro Circus as well, and I'm trying to think. The bull
Yeah,
riding.
let's go, Travis. I had dinner with you once. It was a good time.
I think it's good in the aspect of who's going to put on a better show.
Mhm.
Point to any other direction and say, oh well, this promoter, this no, you're not going to find anybody else who's going to have as much dedication into putting on the best show possible. And then when it comes to anything past that, that's what everyone else who's part of the companies, like they're that is what their jobs are for everything after that. So when it comes to the promotion stuff, like there's no better person to have their fingers in all of these than Dana, I would say.
Absolutely. Started as a boxing promoter from Boston, and look how far he has come. And you know what? A lot of haters will say, "Oh, the Fertitta brothers, the Fertitta brothers, the Fertitta brothers." All right, yes, they were the catalyst with the money, but you do not get to $1 billion company without Dana White and seeing that future. Just power slap and all this other combat sports stuff. Look, he's going around the world right now and looking at entities to buy up. He's using the Vince McMahon platform, basically. Buy up the competition, take everybody that's awesome, and push everybody off and make it all your own. Now, that being said, does that create a monopoly for UFC and Titan Entertainment to be able to, well, keep fighters in line, if you will, and also keep fighters' pay in line with the company?
Um, I mean, I can't say that it's not possible, but I can also say you're going to get paid what your value is.
Okay.
I know that when I, when I was champion and throughout my time in Power Slap, that was some of the most money that I've ever made. I was probably making more money than some of the guys who were starting off just now getting into the UFC. So again, it's what you're signing up for, and also you need to bring your value to the table for them to see.
And what's one of the biggest ways that being inside of the whole UFC mechanism as the machine, what have you seen on how to promote yourself within the company?
Social media. Everyone knows anymore. Social media is such a big factor in all of this. Obviously, your own social media, but you being able to have clips that go viral, whether it's up by the podium, before the fight, after the fight, whatever. Being able to get yourself out there for the more eyes to see you, so that way when that clip does go viral, you get the shares, you get the comments. We already get all the comments from everyone talking shit, so they help our algorithm all day. So
Yeah.
thanks to the haters.
Yeah, you know what?
Um,
The haters help the algorithm all day long. They're promoting you, whether they like to think that they are or not. Dude, they're putting in the time. They're creating the controversy. They're creating all of this stuff that any algorithm absolutely loves. Please, by all means, if you want to hate, do it.
Yeah, all the haters, go to my comment section right now. Drop an FU. I don't care. I'm going to tell you thank you and have a good day anyway.
You know what Carrie Underwood says? She goes, "Yeah, you know what I do? I just don't look at them." She goes, "You know what? You're propelling everything that I do into a higher stratosphere because of your hate, and I just don't read your stuff. So if you think you're bringing me down, guess what, kids? I've got a message for you. I don't care." And I think that's a thick skin that every fighter should have, is because you're going to get a lot of hate, no matter where it comes from. Most of it's going to be from people on YouTube with 0 subscribers, and they've just got that one account so that they can just draw that hate. How do you keep yourself mentally prepared for that? And how do you keep yourself mentally in focus for what your next task is?
Oh, when it comes to that kind of stuff, man, I grew up, not my family, friends, we're always talking shit. So people are talking shit through a comment section instead of being face to face, where at least face to face, we can kind of, we can get a little spicy with it. Maybe we can
Right.
stick the knife and maybe twist it a little bit, and then we're still all right afterwards. The comment section, guess what? You get a poop emoji, and then I move on from that. But like you were saying, not paying attention to it is probably by far the best thing that you can do.
Now, you're from Ohio, Salem, Ohio. What the heck is there to do in Salem, Ohio?
Man, surprisingly, this is city living for me. I grew up originally. Vernal contests to this. I grew up on an ostrich farm in Homeworth, Ohio, a place barely over 400 people. So that's where my real roots come from. And there was nothing to do out there but get in fucking trouble. And that's exactly what my friends did. We would fight each other in cornfields, and we had the law on our ass until we were all adults.
Sounds like a bad Dukes of Hazzard episode to me. But going back to our good friend Vern, man, yo, dude. I asked him one day, I was like, bro, how many people live in the town that you live in? I forget what he said, but it was less than 5,000. And I'm like, you must be the biggest deal to ever come from your town. And he goes, you would think so. And I go, what do you mean? He goes, we've got an Olympic athlete with a medal. Yep. Out of the one town where he could be the man, the myth, the miracle, he's got a freaking dude with a gold or silver. I believe it's a silver medal. Whatever it is, there's like 500 people in his town. He's the only one with a Rolex, but yet he's not the most famous person to come from there. Are you the most famous person to come from your small town?
I would have to say so, yeah. I don't really think there's anybody else that comes to mind. I don't have any issue going to the store or anything like that. But at the same time, I have gotten recognized a little bit out there. And, I definitely feel like as time goes on, it'll definitely grow.
What's that like? The first time somebody comes up to you, a kid, an adult, whatever it is, whomever it is, comes up and says, hey, are you John Davis? What does that feel like for you inside?
It's crazy because, growing up, again, out there in the cornfields, getting drunk with my friends, it was, you're that guy from that party, right? That's all I was ever known for. You're that guy from that party. So now being an example for folks and showing, like, having people I knew reach out and be like, wow, I'm really motivated by what you've done. Having, a young kid walk up to you while you're at the street fair, so that way he has his dad on the phone or something along those lines, so that way they can talk to you. It's a whole different thing. And especially when my family, the first time they got to experience this kid running across the street so that way he could talk to me, it was kind of a tone setter for everyone that was like, oh, okay, this might be a regular thing eventually.
Yeah, and it feels good. It's always awesome when I'm doing an event or something and somebody comes up to you and just wants to give you a little bit of love, because most of the time in this day and age, you don't get love. You get the exact opposite. It's all hate on the internet. So if you truly want to support somebody and you're there IRL, like the kids say, go up to them. Just say, hey, because every single time somebody tells me I've done a good job, it means something to me more than you could ever imagine. I assume, John, you feel the same way.
Absolutely. And for anyone who would ever be like, oh, I don't want to waste their time. Right. No, we're out in public. Come say hi. I will gladly take the time, sign your hat, maybe your ass cheek, whatever you want. I don't.
Hey, man, I used to be on the radio back in the early 2000s, and I got to tell you, the first time I signed a boob, it was an experience for me, just saying. All right. Look, on August 23rd, you're going to be stepping back into the cage, going full MMA. You'll be there with AFP 101 fighting Montana Roberts. Do you know anything about your opponent?
I know he's 1-1 right now. One win, one loss. So his first time cage jitters should be gone. But I'm looking to go out there, and I would assume he would feel the same way, that I'm trying to get this business taken care of within the first round. I've competed on the biggest stages from Las Vegas to Abu Dhabi and back, so I don't really have the nerves like I think most people would in an amateur event. But I'm just excited. I'm excited to be active. I'm excited to have a goal to be moving towards, and I'm grateful for him for accepting the fight, and American Fight Promotions for offering me to be on their platform.
Now, obviously, MMA and Power Slap, different combat sports, but you are coming off of a loss October 24th. It happened against Isaiah Quinos. Hopefully, I
Yep.
said that right. All right, good. Good for me. Way to go. Yeah, you would think I worked at ESPN or something. I could pronounce some words. How was your mental headset? How are you keeping everything in line? How are you getting prepared for this MMA fight?
Mentally, I've definitely had to deal with the roller coaster after that loss.
Mm.
Definitely back on track. Again, excited. I have that fire underneath me that I might have lost for a little bit. So, again, and this being new, not that it was getting stagnant with Power Slap, but I was pretty much stuck in that lane while champion. So looking to go do anything else wasn't much of an option. So now I get to, again, get back to my roots where I started before I got into Power Slap. And, there's not as much pressure in the aspect of I don't have an entire sport being built that I'm kind of helping carry. MMA doesn't need me to go out there and be my absolute best, win, lose, or draw. I just want to go be entertaining for the fans and have fun.
All right. Now you said you had some trials and tribulations getting over that loss in Power Slap. I'd like to get into that headspace a little bit more. That's one of the things that we talk about here on the Logan Summit Show. Exactly what did you do? Give us a little, break it open like a coconut. Give us a little peek inside. Let us know what you did to be able to get yourself back into the right mindset.
Unfortunately, I just had to ride the roller coaster. There was days where I felt great. There was days where I absolutely fucking hated myself. No one likes losing,
Right.
especially when I was on such a win streak for so long, and still champion. So once you finally do lose, I definitely feel like my identity got caught up in that. The obsession, as I full blown had an obsession with it. So pushing myself and putting my identity all into that one basket definitely kind of fell apart. So not only myself, but my family had to kind of help me put those pieces back together. So that way, right now I know who I am. I know what I've done. I know what I'm capable of. And I know that losing, as much as it sucks, it doesn't determine what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life.
Absolutely. And we always say around here, around these parts, we always say it takes a village. At the end of the day, it's you against the opponent in the cage or ring, depending on where in the world, Carmen San Diego, you find yourself. But it's all about that support to get you to that moment where you feel like you've got this in the ring. And that's so great that you mentioned that, because it's all about your family. It's all about your coaches. It's all about your team. Everybody behind you gives just a little bit of themselves to that success that you garner inside of the ring. John, would you agree with that statement?
Absolutely, and I have to say that my family gives more than just themselves. They have sacrificed a whole lot, and I owe them, more than I can ever repay.
Well, you know what? That's awesome, because family is so very important, and I'm sure it's a lot easier around the Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Christmas table. When you're having the family meals, to know that everybody supports you. However, gotta ask: were there some people in your family who were like, "Power slap? What the is that about?"
Yeah, family, people that I worked with. I have an old supervisor that the only thing that he could really tell me that I was fucking stupid for doing that. So, more power to him. Now I'm a supervisor for a different company. So guess what? I'm on the playing field as you are, bud.
That's awesome, dude. I appreciate that. Now, on August 23rd, we talked about it. You're going to be fighting MMA AFP 101 Montana Roberts. Tell me how it's going to go down. Make your prediction, please.
First round KO, TKO, one way or another. I'm finishing in the first round. I don't care. Sub TKO, KO. I'm going for that first round finish. I don't see it leaving the first round.
Do you have a favorite submission that you like to throw down?
I mean, whatever I can get to. I definitely am comfortable, especially knowing that he's already lost by a rear naked choke, that if he happens to leave the opening for me to take his back, I'm very confident in ending it with a rear naked choke.
I interviewed a fighter the other day who, when I looked up their record, they had lost to three rear naked chokes. And I had to ask, have you learned how to defend against the rear naked choke? He just laughed for about a minute. He goes, fair question. Yes, I have. I mean, you got to. You just rip it away for the love of God. Make sure you turn your head, rip it away, and keep moving, right? Pop the hips, keep moving. All right. Now, when it's all said and done, and you look back on your career, what kind of legacy would you hope to have?
A memorable one that my kids can look at when I'm gone, and when people go, what was your dad like? What did your dad like to do? What they can go, oh, instead of me just explaining it to you, let me show you. This is the list of shit that my dad was able to accomplish. And hopefully they learn not only from me, with the videos and everything that I've done and everything I've been a part of. They learn from me with the hard work and dedication and sacrifice that they all have to help me deal with here at home.
How old are your kids?
12, 8, 5, and almost 2.
All right. Are any of them involved in combat sports yet?
Not in a gym or anything, but they'll come out here with me and they'll roll around on the mat. They'll hit the bag. They've got their own little boxing gloves and stuff if they like to get into it. But they definitely all are athletic and very much so want to pursue something.
All right. What I ask this to all the fathers that are fighters. What's easier, man, being a fighter or being a father?
I'd say being a fighter, only because that's all on me. That's watching my kids do something else and just having to sit there and watch. Like my oldest, she played soccer for quite some time. Having to sit there, to keep my mouth shut, because there's other parents who may or may not. They might have deserved a slap, and they're lucky that I kept my slapping hands in the briefcase at that point in time. But that is probably by far so much harder, because in the ring, on the stage, that's all on me. I'll take that pressure all day. When it comes to being a father, I'm trying to make sure I'm doing what's right, and the effect isn't just on me. It affects them very much so, and I only want that to be positive for them.
Keep it positive. And you know what? It doesn't matter whether you want to compete or not. Get in a gym. Be part of a community. It's good for your mental health. It's good for your physical health. It's good for your overall well-being to be in a gym. No one is asking you to be the next John Jones. And then actually, I'd ask you to just not be the next John Jones, to be honest with you. Sorry, John. All right. Before we get into 5 questions, I've got one question for you. Power slap is hard for me to watch sometimes, especially when I know the person that is fighting. I find it very difficult, especially the last. We've been talking about Vern the Mechanic, one of my favorite friends, such a great guy, such a wonderful human being, and such a legend in power slap. However, he's getting a little bit older. He's had 2 very Abu Dhabi, his shoe came off. I was actually texting with Overt Flow, who was he was there, and I was watching it on Rumble, which by the way, we're live on Rumble. Thank you to Rumble.
Shout out to him.
And when that shoe came off, man, I didn't know what to do with myself and my emotions. And then the next fight, the last fight, he just went flat against the board, and so many things happened. I can't even imagine being Shannon, his wife. So my question being, how do you know when it's time to retire from combat sports such as power slap?
That is a conversation that I feel like friends and family, I've told everybody, like, if there's some obvious signs that I don't realize, by all means, we need to have a conversation about that. That's why I've already set myself with being 40. That's pretty much my cutoff again, unless I magically unage a little bit. That would be great. But, it's having people be aware and having that self-awareness to know, like, hey, I've taken a mass amount of shots when it comes to power slap from some of the heaviest hitters. I've gone down once. I definitely, you question yourself after that, and that's the biggest thing, is you have to know, hey, that's me being paranoid because I had the turnout I didn't want, or that's, hey, I actually think there's something going on and something that may be wrong, and it may be time to walk away, and you need to, either get evaluated or, again, have that conversation with friends and family, and, again, the brass of whatever competition it would be, like, hey, I don't think that this is, the best interest for me to be doing anymore.
Well, I watch people get slapped, and the first thing I think of is, wow, they just lost algebra. I mean, it's a crazy sport, and it accelerates some of the detrimental sides of combat sports, as far as I can tell. However, it is exciting to watch, and is one of the most viral sports on the internet for the last however many years. I mean, Power Slap is crazy, crazy viral. All right, John the Machine Davis, it's time for you to play 5 questions. All right, 5 questions, as always, brought to you by Newer. If you're a pro creator, content creator of any sort, amateur or pro, it doesn't matter. Go over to newer.com, use code Logan, save yourself 20% off all of that pro gear at amateur pricing. Trust me, my entire studio that you can't see, but you love the visual, except for the fact that it's me. It's all Newer. So go over to newer.com, use code Logan, save yourself some cash. And if you're wondering, yes, it is available, that link, on each and every single one of the 5 platforms that we are on right now in the About section. So get involved. All right, it's time for John the Machine Davis to get down with 5 questions. My friend, here we go. What's worse, getting punched in the face or getting slapped in the face?
Probably a punch, because at least when I get slapped in the face, I'm making money.
So you're saying you still go on a bar brawl? Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah.
All right. I've always wanted to ask this, and I've never asked any of my friends that do power slap, and I figured this would be the good occasion to do it. You've been knocked down once. What was the sound in your head? What was the sound that you heard when you got slapped like that? Or did it just go dead silent?
It went dead, because this is what I've told many people now. I was winning, and in my mind, I had zero doubt up until that split second that I was going to win that match. And then after I came to afterwards, I realized I lost. So there was no sound. It was more so, he lined up. I heard 3, and in my mind, I was about to look him dead in the eyes, and afterwards, I wasn't looking nowhere but up at the lights.
Now, did anybody tell you what your first words were when you came to?
No, I don't think so.
It was probably like, "Did I win?" Something along those lines, right? Yeah. I feel like that's a really good question when you're lying on your back, wondering exactly did I win? Not today.
Not
But that's okay though, because losses build wins, right?
absolutely.
Yeah, you like I always say, you can't truly appreciate sunny days if it wasn't for the rainy ones. So you need that to get yourself back to that motivated spot. Like you said, after your loss to Isaiah, it took a little while to get that fire in your gut, in your belly again, right?
Absolutely. There was definitely times where I felt like quitting. And it wasn't just with power slap. It was in general. Like, I didn't even want to work out anymore, which is definitely not healthy in general. So it was a long uphill battle, but made it through, and I'm glad to be back where I'm at.
All right. Well, question number 3. You've heard this one before. Is power slap good for combat sports?
Yeah, yeah, it absolutely is. Um, if not us doing it at the level we're doing it at, someone else is going to be doing it. Someone else
Yeah.
was going to be doing it, whether they get 1 view or 100 views. It's definitely, and I think it's an eye opener for other combat sports to be like, oh shit, what are we doing? We need to get our shit together and look as professional as that does.
And if you're going to put it up, UFC, WWE, they know how to produce a show. They've done it before and they'll do it again. Trust me on that one. All right, question number 4. I know that the earplugs are so that you don't rupture an eardrum as easily, but do earplugs really help?
Yeah, yeah, I would say they do. I've gotten, you can't really control where your fingers go sometimes because as long as you're in that window, there's it's just technical room for error. If you've got someone who's got an 88 centimeter hand and their hand just wraps all the way around your head, unfortunately, it's probably going to go over your ear. But yeah, I would say they are definitely helpful. And when they get knocked out, it looks super fucking cool in slow mo.
Yeah, let's go. It does look super cool. You're not wrong. And let's remember, entertainment is entertainment at the end of the day, right?
Exactly.
All right, question number 5. This is going to be the one that Dana will look at me disappointingly next time I see him in public. But here we go. Power slap. And I love it, by the way. I love everything that gives opportunity to any combat sport aficionado to get in there and show off what they have. So that's not where this question comes from. But this question does come from a place of caring. Power slap is worth a reported $750 million. That's $1,000,000. Do you think you all get paid enough?
Yes and no. I have reasons for both, but I would definitely say again, when you look at I've never slapped for free. I have never once done this for free. For everything that I've done in power slap, and I'm having to. It's costing me money to go do this amateur MMA fight. So it's one of those things where, do I want more money? Absolutely. Have I put up big ass fucking numbers? Yes. Have I made the company, leaps and bounds of growth in a multitude of ways? Yes. But there are plenty of people who, you know, they don't bring the same stuff to the table. And unfortunately, there's a scale and we can only get so far because of that.
No, it's true. You either bring it or you don't, and you should get paid to bring it. I get that. There are bonuses in place, and there are ways for all of you to make money. So I do get that. John, thank you so much for being here. You are going to be competing August 23rd, AFP 101, a little bit of MMA against our good friend Montana Roberts, by the way. I hope they take you out for a bison burger afterwards. But that will be going down. I can't wait to see you and how you prevail in MMA. And of course, do you have a date to return to Power Slap?
I don't have a date right now, but this is the first time since last October I've been in contact with someone. I won't say who. I've been in contact with someone, and there's a good chance that things are going to start. The ball's going to get rolling for me to get back up on that fucking stage. Because I'll tell you right now, I want my fucking belt back.
Yes.
And I want it back now.
Let's go. Let's go. Dude, John, the Machine Davis wants his belt back. Let's go. All right, man. Dude, I appreciate you being here. It's your time right now. Anything you want to say, you want to talk about sponsors you want, thank your sponsors, thank your dog, talk about your favorite video game. I don't care, John. This is your time. Go ahead.
Shout out to my dog, Maui. We kick it every morning when I get home from work. He's the best. Anyone who's interested in sponsorship, go ahead and reach out to me. I'd love to work with anybody I can. I have coming in as we speak that I'll be announcing on all my social media soon. So if you haven't followed me, I'm John the Machine Davis on Instagram, TikTok. John Davis on Facebook. Go give it a follow anywhere. I'll gladly answer any questions anyone has about anything that I've done, and I would love to connect and communicate with anyone that I can. And thank you again for having me on. I greatly appreciate it.
Oh, not a problem, John. It was my pleasure. I hope you had fun, man. I do things a little bit differently over here, but that's because I'm awesome. Okay, that's how we bring it to the table. John, I appreciate you being here. Make sure you check out August 23rd, AFP 101. It all goes down. John is going to be doing some MMA, and we will see them soon make their return to Power Slap. You heard it here first. We can't talk about it, but trust me, it's coming. And as the kids would say, pause. All right, here we go. I've got two more interviews on the way. We're going to talk to a baseball player in just a little bit. His name's Kobe. Not that Kobe, obviously. I know, bad joke. Sorry. My bad.
No, God!
Everybody loves Colby, and I'm not one to go against it. But Colby Head will be here with us, and then William King, a professional boxer, will be with us as well. So until then, and it's actually, we are 12 minutes away from the next interview. So actually, don't go anywhere. Until then, be good to yourself and be kind to others. Pay it forward, play it forward. Rock like a party star, party like a rock star. Smile strong, laugh loud. Last but not least, please like, follow, and subscribe so you will know when I will be back doing my thing. And remember, John Davis fighting August 23rd. And I appreciate you, John. Keep being the machine and get it done, all right?
Thank you very much, sir.
All right, till next time, everyone loves a good fight. We'll see you soon. Thanks, John.
Thank you.